Okay, so I'm gonna try and do a video recording instead of having to type a whole bunch on the computer because of the finger, which is healing up fairly slowly but good so far. No more pain, and we looked at it last night, and the graph still looks a little gross, but it looks like it's gonna turn out okay. Yesterday afternoon, around 11:30 or 12, we left Boot Key Harbor finally, and set out for Long Key, which is about 20 miles north of where we were, just to anchor up for the night. About halfway there, we had some engine problems, which made us really nervous since we're about to leave the country. But our decision was we called the mechanic, or Richard called the mechanic, and we believe it was the fuel filter, which makes sense because they're long overdue for being changed. So we managed to get into the harbor and get anchored up, and I started changing the primary fuel filter, which is pretty nasty, is mucked up with a lot of stuff, which makes me further believe that's what it was. So spent a few hours doing that until it's time to go to sleep, and got up first thing this morning about 7 and changed the secondary filter on the one that's actually on the engine, and I had to purge the fuel lines, and a little trial and error, a little bit of reading the shop manual, a little bit of calling for advice from some other cruisers, and anyway, we got it done, and the motor's running good, as you can hear. We're on the way about 20 more miles north from where we were to Rodriguez Key, which is just a little island off of Key Largo, the northern part of the Keys, and we'll be anchored up there until tonight, around 10 o'clock at night, when we're going to make our Gulf Stream crossing. A little anxious about the Gulf Stream crossing, mainly because of all the hype that everybody puts behind it. I mean, it's only a 60, well, for us it'll be about a 70-mile trip, which really is not that long. But everybody says you got to be careful because you don't want to catch it on north winds, you don't want too strong of winds because it's such a strong current. But the positive is that we've got completely textbook good conditions for crossing. We've got the wind shifted from a light north wind to the east-southeast today. Tonight it's going to be about southeast of 10 to 15, which will make for some good sailing. And tomorrow is going to be about 10 knots, shifting from the southeast to south, which is exactly what everything I read says you want. So it's a pretty ideal weather window. So we're going to go for it, and after we leave Rodriguez Key, we got to continue up the channel that we're in right now until we can make a cut. There's a crossing called Angelfish Cut, and along the outside of the Florida Keys, there's a reef that goes all the way down, and you can't just cross anywhere. So we're going to go about 20 miles, take Angelfish Cut. Once we get through the cut, and it's a pretty wide cut, we'll be 3 to 5 more miles, and we'll be in the Gulf Stream. Sounds like it's just going to be kind of pitchy waves, and it's only 2 to 3 feet expected offshore, so it shouldn't be bad. I think it'll be a pretty pleasant sail, really. Showing up in the morning, hopefully between 8 and 11 in the morning. It all depends on what kind of speed we make. I expect we'll be moving pretty quick because the stream does move north at like 2.5, 3 knots. So if all goes well, we finally get out of the U.S. and get to Bimini, much anticipated crossing that we've been trying to do, it seems like forever, but hopefully we'll finally be out of the country and in some really blue water here by this time tomorrow. I'll let you know how it goes.